Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Gloria Pope here with Black Girl Everything, and I have the amazing Trish Ahjel Roberts here with me today. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. You did a great job. Thank you.
No, I took my time.
I'm so happy to be here. That's
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
so happy to meet you. Me, funny thing though, I stalk you on Facebook and actually on
Thank you.
Instagram. I really watch you come across my timeline all the time, and I'm so excited to see the things that you post and what you're talking about because I'm all about being happy.
I
So
love
I'm just like, it's just so invigorating. A lot of your posts because there's just that great lighting and it's always outdoors. I'm like, oh, she looks like she has so much fun.
I really make a point of trying to have as much fun as I can. So that is definitely a thing.
See, I'm reading you right.
But I love that you say that because so many times we post things and we
Mhm.
hope that people are engaging, but we don't really know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm like, ooh, what is she posting about now? So tell everybody what's the name of your business, your organization, or your brand. Because I don't know what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
consider yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Trish Ahjel Roberts. My business, I actually was just going through rebranding. So it's
Okay.
Mind Blowing Happiness LLC. I've had it for a little over a year, about a year and a half now. And what I do, I am a writer, I'm an author. I have three self-help books that are out now and an old novel from back in the day. But I'm also a self-actualization coach and I host events and workshops. So that's kind of the bulk of what I do with the business. But kind
Mm-hmm.
of the overall mission is like what you were saying. It's really mind-blowing happiness for a reason. That's my name for self-actualization. So
Okay.
really, getting to your really juiciest, best levels of joy and fulfillment in your life. And I think that we have to do a few things to get there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we just wake up and we are just mind-blowingly happy.
No.
We, we wish, right? You got to do a little work. So, you got to do um, learning to love yourself and heal from your past and connect with your spirituality. So there's some things along the way, but it's my mission because I think that when people are really joyful and fulfilled in their lives, they don't do terrible things to other people, right?
Say that
So,
one again.
right? That's the thing. I mean, we all hear, hurt people. But I
Yeah.
mean, really, that's it. Like, we do bad things because we're just kind of miserable. We might be jealous or angry or resentful or whatever. So, if we could kind of, do the work required to heal some of those things in ourselves, not only
Mm-hmm.
can we feel amazing, but we can interact with each other in a way that's amazing as well. So,
I'm so surprised. I just said so. I work for a couple of companies. So earlier, I was in one of my other offices, and I was meeting with someone over there, and I was talking about the restructuring of it because she's new director over us, and I'm just like, they need a retreat up there. And I
mm,
said to her because the energy is just so negative, and like you walk in there and everything looks dark and it's so like I could never work up there. Degree and all, I'm not coming. You're never going to get me in the main office
right.
because of the energy. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And I was just saying, because something like what you saying, I'm like, yo, some people just maybe just so unhappy with their selves, you know?
And culturally too, like part of the culture in the US is really to kind of work yourself, your grind, your hustle, never stop working, you're chasing this thing, whether it's the money or the house or the car, but the part of the culture is the chase.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody knows how to arrive.
Mm.
you know, it's like it's all about chase. And if you get something, there's always something bigger, right? If
Of
you get a
course.
really nice car, you can get a better car, you can get a bigger house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that we've really learned how to live with enjoyment. um,
Mm.
and we see that in also, I'm trying to think which film I had watched. It might have been, I can't remember which one, but it was a documentary where they showed Japanese culture, which is actually worse
Okay.
than ours, because out
Mm-hmm.
there suicide is even more
The
prevalent.
pressure. Yep.
Yeah, the work pressure is even more so. Yeah, so we don't want to do that.
No,
That's not the way to
no,
do it.
no, not at all. Not at all. It was funny because I just had my retreat the last weekend and it was a great success. Really did well. And people was like,
I
oh,
saw pictures.
you're
Yeah.
gonna make it so bigger. I'm like, no, this was perfect. I don't need it to be more than this. You know, I had about 50 women there overall throughout the weekend, and it was just great. They were like,
50
but
is
you
a
can have
lot.
so much more. I know it was. I
Yeah,
thought it was huge. I thought it was ginormous. They were like,
that
make
is
it bigger.
huge.
I'm like, no, I'm not. I enjoy this, the intimacy of what it provided because people were able to really connect, you know, but you can make more. So what? It's not about the money, it's about the experience and the intent of the purpose of it, you know?
Right,
I
right.
get you with that, just taking the moment, appreciating where you are and what you already have versus constantly striving for more. You know, I've already
Right.
arrived. I'm just chilling now as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Everything else is a perk.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you do have to get to a point where your needs are met, your basic needs
Okay.
are met,
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
once you get there, some of the additional striving, you have to really think about what are you trying to accomplish, you know?
Mm.
But I talk a lot about well, you see the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness, right?
Yes.
So the ending steps are really purpose and passion. So I talk a lot about purpose and passion because once you're working in a place like or like me,
Hmm.
where we're working in a space of passion and purpose, you could do that your whole life. It doesn't become about the house or the car or the things anymore. It's
Hmm.
more about service,
Yeah,
and creating something. So, you do that with joy.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree because I'm the during the day I'm a director of the education program, a Head Start program, and people's
Oh,
like, "Are you going to stay there?" I'm like, "Yes, I love this. I love the fact that I have 3 and 4 year olds learning how to read right now. This
oh my
brings me
gosh.
joy every day. I love that I'm working in a community where I grew up at, and I'm helping families become stronger so they can advocate for their children. Why would I go do something else? Like coming to my job every day. I
Yeah,
like
oh, that's
working
an
with my teachers. I
amazing.
like working with my staff. And he's like,
Mhm.
but you can, again, it goes back to people always say, but you can have a doctorate. You can make all this money, but money's not going to make me happy. It's my daily experiences that bring me joy.
Right, and how much pressure do you wanna take on? Because sometimes the money comes with a lot of pressure. Like, you don't want that. But,
Yeah.
when you're talking about Head Start, it had me thinking because 'cause I've been volunteer tutoring, adults to learn how to read,
Okay.
So just the parallels there, 2 sides of the
Hmm.
equation, um, is just everybody should be reading at 3 and 4, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so much easier to catch them then than to be
Hmm.
working with, a 50-year-old who is struggling.
Yeah. And that
So
one's hard. That's my office I'm at now. I also run an adult education program too. That's where I'm at right now in the Bronx.
okay. Oh, so
So
you
I totally
know,
get it. Yeah.
and it's
So it's like
hard.
that spectrum is so different. But I'm just like, look at
Mhm.
people like, gosh, you didn't go to a good preschool,
Yeah,
you know? Because it
yeah.
really makes a big, big difference. So tell me, what inspired you really to write your 12 steps?
Huh. How did this happen to me? Let me think. Okay, so, I'm really into doing events.
Okay.
Um, I actually started out as a meetup organizer. I have a group out here in Atlanta that has,
Ooh.
over 4,500 people in it. It's called Black Vegan Life. So I was organizing an event before before COVID hit, and I had been studying Buddhism for many years and yoga for many years, and on my personal journey of getting knocked down and standing back up. So I thought, oh my gosh, I've learned so much stuff. I wanted to put together this resource for the retreat participants. Um, and at the time, the retreat was called Thinking Outside the Chrysalis. So the book that I ended up putting together was this one, Thinking Outside the Chrysalis, A Black Woman's
Hmm.
Guide to Spreading Her Wings. Um, I later learned that nobody knows what a chrysalis is. I had to get with some book marketing people. They're like, what are you talking about? Do you know
Yeah.
what a chrysalis is?
I
Nobody
happen to know.
does. But basically,
Only because I'm an educator. Only reason why I know.
basically, it's a butterfly cocoon. So the whole thing was
Hmm.
kind of breaking out and spreading your wings, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But when I started teaching it, I started teaching these 12 steps as 12 steps to happiness. And then it really wasn't happiness. So I came up with mind blowing happiness. And I was like, that's it. It's mind blowing happiness.
Yeah.
So the second book came because, the readers who were working through the first book were saying, they needed more space to kind of work through the lessons that were presented to them. So
Okay.
that's when I came up, and you could see it behind me, but it's this one here, which is the
Yeah.
12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness, a journal of insights, quotes, and questions to juice up your journey. So that's really a
Ooh.
journal, so it gives you more room to kind of get in there and work through things. But that was how it happened. Um, the concepts were things I learned over time.
Hmm.
But honestly, one night I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and I had like these 10 ideas and I had to write them down. And
Yeah.
later on, I added, two more, whatever later. But um, I always tell people it's so important to get still because that's when the good stuff happens. It's either like a lot of times when I'm sleeping, but when I'm meditating
Hmm.
or when I'm doing like yoga that is still like restorative, or I don't know if you've heard of yoga nidra, but it's typically these times when I'm just kind of like bringing it all down, when you have bright ideas,
Yeah.
aha moments, and the good stuff happens. So
Yeah. That happens to me when I drive.
uh, you drive long
'Cause
distance?
not necessarily long distance. I just enjoy driving. I've always
Hmm.
have. So when I sit there, my mind just kind of just goes and it goes. And that's why I kind of came with Black or Everything. I was coming from a director's meeting. And I was driving down the highway and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do.
And I love the name.
Yeah. And then I called my cousin, like, hey, I'm doing this. This is what's gonna happen. Because it started off with me just hosting one event. And of course, COVID shut that down. It was supposed to have been
Hmm.
this past weekend of last year. And then it just evolved into this. And then I was like, now I just love this. And now I throw
Yeah.
other events and do other things and everything else. So I'm just very excited where it's going at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends who's also on my board, and we were talking about this whole idea around creativity
Hmm.
because I feel like I worked corporate for so many years and my creativity was not invited into the room. You
Hmm.
know, it was kind of like you show up with this part of yourself that we
Yeah.
want to use, and we're going to tell you what to do for us. But you can keep your ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not the
Hmm.
CEO. You can keep your ideas. So I just think it's so interesting how I know, at least for me, and I think for a lot of us, we've been kind of trained to not pay attention to our creativity.
I
You
agree.
know,
I agree.
that's where the magic is.
It is. It really is. It
Mhm.
really is. And I just find that now I'm just like, all these great ideas always come to my mind. And people's like, oh gosh, Gloria has another idea. I do. I have them
Yes,
all the time. And I was
and
like,
write them
hey,
down.
let's do this. I do. Post-its are my thing. Post-it everything. Okay.
Because
It's all
sometimes
my
they're
own.
fleeting, right? Like if you don't
Yeah.
catch them.
Yeah, I do. And so you got to hold on to them. I'm mad. I don't have pen and paper. Then I have my journal. I have to keep my journal with me all the time too, because I jot stuff in there all the time. In the middle of
Mhm.
conversations, in the middle of Zoom meetings where I'm really not paying attention, I just sit there and write stuff down. Because you
You're
never
not
know when
the only
something's going to
one.
come to you. Because creating is such an amazing thing. I love to create. You know,
And
and
really, it's also, I mean, it's biblical, right?
yeah.
The world, the story of creation, anything that we see had to have a creator. Anything that we want
Mm,
has to have a creator. Um, yeah, and for most of us, we want the world to be a little different than the way it is because it's not a perfect world that we're in.
definitely.
Yeah, so we've got to create to make things move in the direction that we want.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot
Mhm.
of sense. So with this, where do you see yourself going with this? I see you're doing a lot right now, right? And obviously this must be making you happy.
It is
So,
me.
right? So where do you see yourself going with this moving forward?
Still have my moments where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe all the years that I spent really pursuing someone else's dream, pursuing
Aha.
someone else's dream. And
Mm-hmm.
like now I'm finally doing my own.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess where I see this going, um, definitely speaking around the world, but I imagine having
Mm-hmm.
retreat houses around the world. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents were from the Caribbean. My father
Okay.
from Jamaica. They're both deceased now, but my father was from Jamaica and my mom from St. Lucia. So I just imagine my first two retreat houses would be on those islands, paying homage to my
Nice.
parents. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, like you see from the retreat that you hosted, I'm sure that retreats really change people's lives, right? Because you could
Mm-hmm.
do a workshop where, you spend a couple of hours. And I mean, not that a workshop can't change someone's life,
Yeah.
but retreats just allow you to go deeper, to
Mm-hmm.
disconnect from your normal environment, to have that community, to really, yeah, to really make profound changes. So,
Yeah,
and
no, I
inviting more
completely agree
people
with you.
else.
It was so far beyond my expectations. I was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of people to hang out, and we're gonna have these conferences. We're all gonna evolve. We're gonna do these sessions. We're gonna do this networking thing. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And then we started, and it started happening. I was crying real tears within the first hour and a half of the first night because
Ah,
I'm just like, oh no, this is more than just cool. This is
yeah,
everything. This is like, and because the energy, just everybody just came in, and it was just like this, and the relationships and the bonds that people were able to develop, for personal reasons as well as their businesses. It's like,
hmm,
ooh, and because the people was dropping gems with everybody,
yeah,
giving everybody jewels of information. Hey, if you do this, it's gonna help you get here, help you get there.
yeah.
And
And you
people
don't know
who,
until somebody
yeah,
tells you, you know?
gosh, the stuff I learned.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It was just so good. So you're right about that whole environment of just sharing with each other. And like also it's about being caught up for the last year with all this social distancing and being away
Yeah,
from like that human interaction. And to
mm-hmm.
be able to have that for 3 days, it was just like,
I know, I'm jealous. I'm like totally jealous. Like, I want to go to a real retreat. I went to this thing in Florida, but it wasn't like,
yeah,
it wasn't like a real retreat. But I do have a word that I want to share with you that I made up that I love.
go ahead.
Because I always hated the word networking. Because when I
Hmm.
was working, I always felt like I was supposed to go in this room and try to get people to do things for me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It felt very
Hmm.
out of balance. And maybe because I worked in corporate sales for a long time.
Go ahead.
So the word that I like is pollinating.
Ooh.
I like yeah, because it went with my whole butterfly thing,
Yeah.
but also pollinating is like, you're giving something. You're kind of going
Mm.
around giving somebody like dropping wisdom, dropping gems. And of course
Hmm.
you're going to get something back in return, but shifting the focus, I think sometimes makes it even easier to interact with people, you know, um, especially for people who are maybe a little bit more introverted,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Hmm.
Like sometimes it's hard to go out to people feeling like you're trying to get something from them,
Yeah.
and a lot of times we don't really like people coming up making us feel like they're trying to get something. So yeah, pollinating, dropping a little.
I like that. I like that. I'm just put here pollinating and I'll put your name right at the bottom of it from now on. As she says, we're gonna have pollinate out here, people.
It could be
So that's really
pollinating.
what it is about the collective and just connecting with people and just, especially like-minded people, right? Because you have people who have the same ways of thinking, or not even the same ways, you just want the best for everybody. And you can just get so much from that. And I
Yeah,
think that's what it really is.
it sets an intention too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm actually doing a workshop tomorrow evening on Clubhouse app about developing a really powerful support network. And
Mm.
it kind of goes to that same thing. It's like we want to have the support network, but you can't just be out here saying, I need support,
Mm-hmm.
could you give me a
Mm-hmm.
little support? Like that's not your best look.
No, no.
So yeah, just kind of shifting it so that it's make sure that you're coming from a place of giving, because then people will always want to invite you in.
I think I totally agree. That's like the whole Black Girl Everything movement and what it's really turned itself into. Because people was like, when I said I'm doing these videos, we're like, well, what does it cost? It doesn't cost you anything. I just want to talk to you. What? Really? Yeah. Because I'm going to give up my time to share what you're doing with other people. And so we all can just grow from the experience. And what happens is now I know you and I know what you offer. And you're going to have retreat houses in other countries, which means that when I'm ready to do another retreat, I can contact you to do a
Right.
retreat house. But see, but that's what happened, right? Because now we sit here and figure out how we can work together to grow everybody's mission. And
Right.
that's the Black Girl Everything movement.
Right. I think a lot of times it's finding whose mission is aligned with yours,
Aha,
because then there's no conflict. Yeah.
exactly. Because everybody's like, ooh, let's do this.
Right.
And it's,
Right.
it's
Right.
so
Right.
inviting and it's enjoyable. That's definitely dope. Definitely dope. So what type of events do you have coming up? You have anything coming up soon? I say you're doing things on Clubhouse. What else are you doing?
I right now I have a group coaching series that's about halfway through now. It's called
Okay.
Packing Quest. So it's a cohort of women, that we're working through that now. The next group, I haven't decided yet. It may start in May, but that's
Okay.
right now we're online, which is
Got
nice
it.
because I have people from all over, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of playing it by ear with COVID. I would love to do a retreat, but I do not have anything in person planned yet,
Got it?
you know? So yeah, so right now it's just the group coaching and I do something once a month, both on Zoom and on Clubhouse. This month I'm not doing the Zoom because I realize it's Easter Sunday,
Yes,
but
it is.
normally it's the first Thursday and the first Sunday of the month. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So then you have the rest of your life to yourself for the rest of the month. Self-care. I'm telling you, self-care
Well,
matters.
it's funny, when I first got my my yoga teacher certification, I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, let me go teach some yoga. And then I realized I didn't want to work for anyone else at that point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll teach when I host retreats and as part of my coaching and those types of things. But yeah, I don't want to go and teach a yoga class 3 days a week. It's not, it's not good use of my time, to be quite honest with you.
No, it's not. And it's so strict, right? You put yourself in these levels of restrictions. And I'm just
Well,
like,
that was
no.
new. I couldn't promote my business working for other people.
Mm-mm.
And then it was kind of like, well, why am I coming here for an hour? You know, driving 30 minutes to get here to be here for an hour to.
First of all, Atlanta, everything is 45 minutes away, by the way.
I know you
Doesn't
said
matter where you go.
30, now it's like it's traffic no matter what time.
Yeah, I was just there. I'm actually going to be back there. I'm actually hosting an event there in August, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, okay.
yeah, so I'm just like, everywhere you go is 45 minutes away. I'm like, gosh,
It
15
should
miles,
be.
45 minutes,
It's
30
okay.
miles, 45 minutes. Everything's 45 minutes. Can't do it.
So are you doing a retreat out here?
No, I work with a few authors actually, because authors are my favorite, by the way. And we're doing a pop-up book tour situation for Vanessa Moore. She's one of the authors that I work with. So we're doing one of her launch events in August 7th, actually.
Okay, I'll have to follow and see what you're up to.
Yeah, I'll be popping around. So we're doing 4 cities on the East Coast this year. We're doing Charlotte in July, Atlanta, and then I'm doing a back-to-back weekend in the DC area in September.
Oh,
On
nice.
top of the events I'm doing here in New York. So very excited about it. Like I said, because I love authors.
I do too.
There's, after I wrote my dissertation, there was just this level of respect that I have for authors. And I'm just like, nah, that's where it's at. You want to really create, you got to write. And writers talk about creative pages and pages of stuff that align with each other. Everybody can't do it.
I'm gonna have to send you my old novel now. Because
Girl, please.
recently is self-help, but I've got it
Huh?
like a million books in my head. We'll see.
I'll read it. I'll definitely read it. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely,
it's set in
definitely.
Brooklyn. That's a back in the day book. That's a throwback.
Oh, that's how throwback it is when he was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's set in Brooklyn in the 80s and 90s. So it's a way throwback.
That's a long time ago.
I know, girl, time flies. Like I don't know what happened. If it feels like yesterday.
Trust me, I understand. Like when I said, and I flash back to middle school, back in 1992. I'm like, you feel like it's so far ago, but no, but I remember like my first day in middle school as time keeps on going. But how can people find you to get involved with what you're doing? Because it's definitely amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would love for people to visit my website. It's mindblowinghappiness.com. So you can't forget that. And all my
Mhm.
social media links are there. But typically, social media, I'm either Mind Blowing Happiness or Trish Ahjel Roberts. Um, and definitely go on there, download my free ebook, The Mind Blowing Happiness Guide to Self Care. And it'll put you on my mailing list so that you get my weekly inspirational blog. Got a podcast out. There's all kinds of goodies on there. There's like, what do I have on there? My YouTube channel, I've got some yoga on there, got guided meditations, yoga nidra, all kinds of good stuff to get your creative juices flowing and
So
get
this
you.
sounds like you're just giving and giving and giving.
I am.
I love it.
People need stuff, people
I
really.
agree.
And then sometimes I see things done in a way that I don't think it's done well, like
Mm.
certain opinions on some of the things that I offer. So there's no excuse if it's free and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's done properly. So yeah, and I would love to hear people's feedback as well.
Oh, no, that's definitely cool. So I want to thank you for just actually carving some time out for me today.
Thank
It's been better to have this conversation. I really wanted to end Women's History Month with you because I really like you as a human. And now I know more about you. I like you even more.
Thank you so much. Now you know I'm going to be calling you. I'm like, where are we going for brunch? Let's do it.
I definitely do. So here, this is Dr. Gloria Pope of Black Girl Everything.